Hi everyone, it's Lynnea for LDRS Creative, and today I'm going to be creating a project using the Lake House bundle. There are layering dies, a layering stencil, and sentiments in this set. This set is great for masculine cards, and I know that that's something that I'm always looking for are more ways to create masculine cards. So let's start with the Lake House layering dies. Don't forget to flip over your packaging and look at the back to get not only some completed inspiration, but it's also a layering guide so you can see exactly what pieces go where to build the house and to create your scenes. This mountains and lake stencil allows you to create a mountain scene in the background, and you can add little snow caps on top, and then there's little ripples so you can create a lake on your projects. Here's how that looks on the back of the packaging so that you can see the different elements of this stencil in action. Next up, there's a 4x4 stamp set, and these sentiments are great for all kinds of different occasions. Birthday, miss you, Father's Day. There's just a whole array of sentiments here to cover pretty much any kind of project you want to create. So I'm going to start by layering up the pieces to build my houses. Now, these little cabins you can create multiple different ways. I'm going to be creating 2 for my card, and I just like to cut all the pieces, and then I have them in a little dish so that I can cut first and assemble. Kind of like an assembly line process. I just bust out my die cutting machine, cut all the pieces I need, and then assemble them all at once. It just goes faster for me that way. So I started with the house. There's that base, and then I added the roof and the bottom of the house. I'm not sure what you would call that, but that little dark piece at the bottom, the border of the house. I'm going to create one of these little cabins with a porch on the side. So that's what's on the right, but don't forget you can swap that over to the left side if you want to. I have a little circular window, and for that I just have the backer piece out of a tan colored cardstock, and then the front, the kind of window pane, in a dark colored cardstock. That's one type of window. There are actually 3 in this set. The circle, this one that I'm doing here that has the windows kind of open, and then on the second house you'll see me use the 3rd kind of window. That's that regular traditional 4 window pane type of window. Once I layered up all my windows, I'm using just little tiny dots of glue. You don't need a lot of glue here. In fact, you could even use some double-sided adhesive sheets when you're die cutting if you wanted this process to go a little bit faster. So I'm just going to assemble all my pieces together. I have my little chimney, and I set that to the side. That house is done. Here's my second cabin. I'm starting the same way, putting on the roof and then the base of the house. I'm going to have one of those little circular windows right in the center, just like I did on my first one. But for this one, I'm going to have this be a front-facing cabin instead of a side-facing cabin. So I have the door. I layered that, a dark piece on top of the lighter piece. I have a little stair set, and then here's those 3rd kind of windows with the 4 kind of the complete window panes. I also have a chimney on this little cabin, and don't forget you can put those chimneys either on the left or the right-hand side to get even more versatility. So here are my 2 completed cabins. This is just 2 ways that you can make these cabins. There are endless possibilities here. You could have a front-facing house with the porch on it still. Don't forget to always step outside of the box and just kind of create however you want to. I'm going to start building my scene now. I have a piece of A2 cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I cut it from blue cardstock. Then I used that lake house die, and I cut out a whole bunch of elements. So I have trees, I have these little borders here so that I can have grass at the bottom of my card, and then along the mountain border line as well. You can cut as few or as many trees as you want to complete your scene. I set those to the side. I was just kind of using them as an idea for placement, and I'm going to start stenciling using the mountain and lake stencil. I have Bali Blue Hybrid ink. This is kind of your traditional blue ink, and I'm going to blend over the mountains and just create a darker blue because I'm layering blue ink on top of blue cardstock. So that's going to give me a nice tone-on-tone mountain range. Now there are snow caps as well, and I will get to that in just a moment. I wanted to do all of my ink blending first. I'm going to do something special for the snow caps. So here are these little ripples, and this is a great way to create the effect of a lake without any effort. So I'm going to peel this back, and right now it does look kind of weird. You'll see when I peel the stencil back, it just kind of looks like some squiggly lines in the middle of my card. But once you add the other scenic elements on top, like this grass here at the bottom, and then when I have this other border, it just magically turns into this body of water. Now for the caps on the mountain, I wanted to add a little bit of texture and some shimmer and shine, so I'm actually going to add a white paste over the top of my mountains. You could come in with a gray ink or even a darker blue ink if you wanted to. I just thought this white would be a fun effect to add onto my card. So I scraped that over my stencil, and now I'm just going to remove my masking tape and remove my stencil, and you'll see how this card is starting to come together. All of these elements are working together and creating an easy scene. Check this out as I hold this up to the camera. I absolutely love this mountain range. I think it's great. You could even use it on its own without creating a full scene. I let my paste dry for about 15 minutes. And now I'm just going to go through and start adding on all of my elements. I started with that grassy line down at the bottom, and then I wanted to have another kind of mountain range in the back, some kind of hills and everything. I have these tree lines that I'm just going to play around with, stagger them so that they're off to the left, off to the right, a little bit higher, a little bit lower, just kind of creating a scene that would look natural to me. Don't forget to always play around with all of the different elements in this die set. This is just, again, one idea of ways that you can use to create these scenes. I know that I want to have one cabin off to the left and one cabin off to the right, so I'm kind of just fussing with my pieces from there, adding liquid adhesive to the trees, and then I will be bringing in some other elements. I cut a bunch of the evergreen trees using 3 different colors of cardstock so that I could have some variation. I have a lot of different colors of greens, and even though I live in an area full of evergreens, when you look out into nature, all those evergreens have different colors to them. So I cut a whole bunch of different pine trees from different colors of cardstock, and all I'm going to do is just tuck them here and there behind my cabins. Again, I'm staggering so that some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower, some will be behind the cabins, and some are going to be in front of the cabin, just to give this a look as if you're just taking a picture of a lake scene out in the middle of nature. This die set also has some little wood-like creatures or woodland creatures. There's a little moose and a bear. I cut both from brown cardstock, but if you wanted to, you could change that up, cut that bear from white cardstock if you wanted to create a more polar bear-esque scene. Don't forget there are black bears as well, so feel free to let your imagination run wild with this set. I finished adding all of my elements, and I added a sentiment in the top right hand corner, and this card is finished. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye!